Here is a Marvin screen fan, which is a window fan for windows that don't have screens. This is very similar, if not identical to, the first fan I ever bought at a tag sale. This is the model 239W. It is rated for 0.7 amps, motor type 2. The WB Marvin Manufacturing Company. What does that say? Something Ohio, USA. It's UL listed. 110 to 120 volts. I think these are pretty old. I think that this might date back to, well, actually, from what I understand, these were made for a very long period of time. And there were descendants of this made, I want to say, up through the 2000s. Of course, they became kind of plasticky and so forth. But what never turned plastic was the blade. The blade was always metal on these things, even in the all plastic housing models. This is a slightly newer one, and you can see the motor is now plastic housing. It's a cheesy C-frame shaded pole motor, but the blade is still the same metal blade. There's more rings to the guard on this one, despite being the same size, and it's also just much taller for some reason. To this one here, the 239W, is very similar to, if not identical to, the first one I had. Do I have it? Well, I remember seeing it recently. Yes, here it is. I have it sitting on the shelf right here. This is it. This one is the original instance that I picked up at a tag sale back in the 2000s with my grandparents. I think we paid a whopping $2 for this or something at the time. And it still runs pretty good, but it's cosmetically worn out. You know, the side is worn out from grabbing it. I mean, I used this thing a ton back in the 2000s. This is model 239W, so it is the same model, except this one says Premier Screen Fan, and the other one does not. I'm guessing, based on the styling of the information tag, this is very bland. This one is probably older. Maybe not, I don't know, but I just feel like that logo on the bottom, although actually this is just a plastic. Maybe this one is older than I don't know. I'm really not sure. They both still list 110 on there, so these have got to be, it's got to date back pretty far. Anyways, I have no idea where this particular one came from. I was just digging through some stuff at the other location a couple weeks back, and I came across this. I said, wow, what a nice example. So I figured I better bring it over here and make a video. This one is pretty much mint. I don't know if the blades would have originally been shiny. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. Well, you know what? They are in the back, so maybe they were originally shiny. But the guard still has all of its luster. The paint is still quite good. Frame is in good shape still. No holes in the screen. It's a nice metal screen, so it should stay good for a while. These almost feel like a homemade thing, just with the pieces of wood nailed onto the metal part. It's just it doesn't feel like a excuse me, like a mass-produced product. But I guess this was the kind of stuff you had back then. And quite frankly, it's better quality than any of the plastic junk you can buy today. The cord needs some help. This is severely twisted up. I'll try to get all that out and straighten it out when I put this away. This is probably the original switch. I don't think the switch is original on the other one. I think I put that on there at some point. The Leviton switch, 3 amps, which this probably gets close to that on startup because it's only shaded pole. It's a 2-pole shaded pole motor, and it's really mint inside the motor too. This has got to be very low hours. I always liked these because of the blades primarily. My grandparents had, or they still have, a Dayton exhaust fan in the lower portion of the house. And it had, it's the one of the ones with the round blades. I have a video of it. I'll put that in the video box if I remember. Not that anybody will look at it. But I always liked that fan. I thought the blade looks really nice, and these remind me very much of that. I remember using this in the window at the first house we lived in quite often during the summer, and I just thought it had a really cool appearance to it. And in terms of airflow, these are probably the best you can get for this size. These certainly outperform the little Holmes ones that are all plastic and blaring loud. Can open pretty wide too. This might actually be wide enough to fit in those ridiculously wide windows that I have upstairs. Not that it really matters because those windows have screens anyways, so if this was not fully expanded it wouldn't make any difference. It's kind of weird to think about it a time where window screens were not standard enough that we needed to have something like this. Here's the plug. It's kind of a unique plug. Kind of a unique shape. Alright, let's plug this thing in. I don't know if this is on or not. Oh good, it's off. So we're going to be testing at 120.3 the volts. I don't know if the bearings are free. Oh, they're not free on this. Alright, we may not be able to run this for more than a couple seconds. Unfortunately, these were pretty notorious for being very cheap in terms of the bearings. In fact, I remember this would have been a couple years after I found this and I started to use the computer for the first time. I remember watching a video from UXW Bill about a similar form factor, which I got from the letter H a couple years ago. It was a single model in the middle, not off the side like this. But I remember him talking about that one and how he'd have to frequently lubricate the units because the bearings were not particularly good quality. Well, let's see if this is going to run or not. Probably not. Well, I think it is. We won't run it for long, just a few minutes, probably not even a minute. This may have never even been used, I don't know. I remember that sound so vividly. That clinging sound. These would always do that when they needed oil. Pulling 0.7 amps right on the nose, but this is definitely not up to speed. It's quite powerful. Of course, a lot of the air definitely goes in from the sides, not the back, so how effective this really is at necessarily pushing air specifically through the window, plus it recirculates through here, I don't know, but it's better than nothing. Feels like it's in good balance at least. Probably move some more air if we get the second layer of screen out of the way. And actually, maybe I'll use this to kind of hold it up. Yeah, that kind of works. No, that's not going to work. That'll work. These bring back so many memories. That is pretty strong. I kind of feel like this is not running up to spec, though. I think the other one runs faster than this. Well, maybe not. It has been a while since I've used one of these. That's strong. This airflow tester is about to break. I have to get a new one soon. It's unfortunate. I can feel this pushing the air clear across the room. I always wanted a portable fan like this. I wish they had taken this. Not that this isn't portable, but what I meant was like a like a desk fan or something with this. Take this blade and that motor, and just put it into a desk fan, or a box fan or something that's not a window fan that has to sit in the window. Because this is great just to use, in the room in general. We'll cut it off. Now the bearings definitely need some oil, but that's no surprise. I'm sure this has never been oiled, and quite possibly never used either. Let's check the power. I forgot to check the power information. It's down to 0.67, so it's definitely freeing up a little bit now. 60.6 watts with a power factor of 0.75. That's actually not a bad power factor for a shaded pole motor, but definitely a very power hungry apparatus. So much nostalgia in these fans. I remember seeing this in my bedroom window from the outside when I would be outside mowing the lawn. I remember looking at it from the outside. I probably have some old pictures too I should go through, and I'll do it in a separate video. I'm not going to have time to put it in this video, but I should get out some of those old pictures. I know I have some old pictures of this in that house. Well, maybe we'll use this year. I thought that summer was pretty much over. I pulled out all the air conditioners last night, and now today it's 80 over 73%. I wish the air conditioners were still installed. I'd be using them today. I've been running the heat for the last week on and off, and now it's spiked back up again. And the forecast has plenty of warm days in it still, so maybe I'll get a bunch of these cleaned and serviced, and we'll close out the summer with these.